talking about that, I'll just start the recording. So we skip a little bit of our chat in the beginning. So guys, before starting, let's talk a little bit about the rules of engagement. I think most of you, at least by the names, I think already used to go to the user group, but it's never enough to remember. Um, The event has a webinar format, so microphones and cameras are not enabled when we start the presentation. If you have questions or comments, drop it in the QA. After every presentation, we're gonna have time and we're gonna answer everything that you need to know or that you are interested to know. As I said, let us know in the chat where you are joining from. This meeting will be recorded and shared in the event page 1 week after the event. If you want to provide feedback, fill out our feedback survey that you get delivered by email just after the event. Um, just heads up, if you want to join our OutSystems research program, just scan the QR code, sign up, and participate and get rewards. João is one of the research, is part of the research group, and he used to tell me all the time that he has a lot of Amazon bonus. So that is the perks of trying to help us out and improve our application. Today we have two of the Londo's initiative, that is Tell Us Your Story and Flash Talk. On the Tell Us Your Story, we want you to tell a story of OutSystems, and you can do it in two ways. If you are in the path of developer, you are talk a little bit more of the technical side. But if you are in the part of business, you could tell us how you start, how you integrate OutSystems with your company. That today will be what Richard is going to do in the end. Um, about the flash talk is a moment that it's not a full presentation, but it's a time where you can create some hum up or teaser of a new text, new work in progress, where you can try to share a little bit of your day to day and what are the cool things that you are doing on your job that João is going to present to us. If you want to join our user group initiatives, please do scan the QR code or click in the link. I will share the link in the chat in a few minutes and help us to share your story, your skills, and let's make this group a better place to be. So today, our agenda, we already passed by the welcomes and intro. We're gonna talk about the flash talks. We have with João, feedback message building a library that can serve all with Paulo Zacarias and Richard telling us a story. And in the end, we're gonna have some keys related to the OutSystems and a few questions of our presentation. So please bring a cough, wake up, and don't sleep, because the person that answers faster and correct is gonna win one of our swag kits. So uh, as you already saw, we have here Carlos. I am a tech lead on Fujitsu. I'm part of the user group in London for the past, I think, 2 years, if I'm not wrong. João, if you want to present yourself, and Richard, I think most of the people already know us, but
Yeah, no problem. So I work as a senior developer in CGI UK at the moment. I belong to the user groups in the Portugal community since the beginning. I work in OutSystems, but I became organizer in the London side in October, November, and that's it.
Okay, I'm Richard Tilbury. I'm Director of Development at Personal Group. My role is to make sure that things don't go wrong and the developments go through. Uh, and I keep fish.
You keep fish. I think we need to do a user group in the Richard's house. So after finish the presentation, we can try to do a competition who is gonna fish the entire fish today. Yes. Okay, let's continue. Today we have João. João, is your turn. Tell
Yeah.
us what are the new things that you are doing on your work.
Yes, so basically to this flash talk, I'm talking about a little POC that I needed to make in a project that is basically integrating the answer service of Azure inside OutSystems, but I needed to do in a different way because the Forge components that are available was not very best for the use case that I needed, but I will explain you this on more detail. So the agenda for this presentation will be the problem that I needed to solve and the steps that I used to create a solution. So what step and service I needed in the Azure side, how I wrap the REST API inside OutSystems, and show you how I create this little demo app that I'm going to show you later on the day today. So the problem was because in my use case we got a lot of documents and we needed and emails and we needed the best way to extract them of the file or of the text using some Azure component because on my company we use a lot of Azure service and we like them to integrate with OutSystems as well. So, and the use case is okay, we know what type of information we need to extract. So we know what type of questions and what kind of material will be present on there. So before even I create a solution, I try to find in OutSystems side on Forge component if I could find any easygoing solution. But unfortunately, the components that are now available were not making the use case I needed. The last one is using the same service, but is always using a knowledge base, and that means that for using that service, you already need to have a huge database and a huge of answers and response already involved in the process to make it work. So I need to do a little twist on that that lot. And in order to do this one, you need to have an Azure account, of course, and you need to have an Azure subscription, and then you have to create Azure resource because it's that resource that you need to create the two services that I needed. So in Azure, you got a lot of service and a lot of things that you it's easy to use, and sometimes it's difficult to find the right one. So to guide you, the service I used was in the AI, artificial intelligence part and plus the machine learning. So you need to create a language service that usually is the base for all the Azure service. So imagine that you want to do a recognition phase or a speech recognition or a translate topic, even using the other Forge components, you need to have this service on your Azure account because you need to extract the key and the region that you are using to use on the OutSystems side. To connect the second part of my problem, that was that answer and question service, you need to create a new service that is the cognitive search, but this one needs to be connected with a language. So if you try to create a cognitive search by itself, it will not work. So this is a photo of the service that you need. So the language is the principal, and then the cognitive search is the second, that in on the configurations. And one thing that is good with Microsoft Azure, you got a lot of documentation that could help you to create that and show how to create the service correctly. So for this demo, after you creating the service, it's pretty straightforward because you already have the endpoint. You just need to know what type of call that you need to use. In this case, to use this service, we do a post call. And inside of the REST API, we need to pass the subscription key and the custom region that you created the service. So in that matter, after you created the service, you got access to that key and to that region. And inside the request, you just need to send the document that we want to search and the questions you want to make. One thing that is very interesting, you can search in multiple documents and the same question at the same time. For my demo purpose, I only do one document and one set of questions. So here is the REST call that I use to set up the service. Once again, this example is on your Azure documentation. So it's pretty straightforward. You just need to copy the request. And then after you have your endpoint and your keys, you just need to test it. And the service is going to be on OutSystems. So to create this demo app, I create 3 simple modules. One to wrap the REST API, other CS with some back office tables. And in the front end is only 2 main screens. One that I'm going to show you to copy paste the text and make a question of a free text. And the other that I define on the back office some questions and a predefined document you to see the system run automatically. So, and of course, to do that, I just needed to create a base text, create some questions in the table records, and basically make the question that I created on the screen. So, Carlos, can you give me access to the screen to share my screen, please? This is just a GIF of the demo application. It's not the version that I will present to you now, but it's just a simple test to see if everything was going on the same side to this presentation. So
just a second, João, I'm stopping sharing, and you can start from your sides.
Yeah, thank you. So please tell me, guys, when you are seeing my screen, if everything is okay. Are you seeing my screen right now?
Yes, with the CGI
yes,
background. Yeah.
And now you see the Service Studio?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. So, like I said, to this demo, I created a simple app with a wrapper, with the CS tables and the front end. So here, it's a simple table where I created the questions, and then I created on the front end the base text that I'm going to make these questions. On the wrapper, I just, like I showed you previously, I already created the REST call. I added the keys on site properties and basically create this wrapper to use on my front end that got 2 simple screens, the free text one and the automatic system one. And let's do it. I'm going to show you the application itself. So I'm sure this is going to ask me the login as you, oh, got lucky this time, not timeout. So let's start with the free text system. So, for example, because today I was doing some research about this one, so let's just copy this text and add it to here. So basically, this is our document, and we want to know what is a RUID. And just let ask the system what is the answer. And of course, it's a live demo. It's taking more time than expected. So let me show you the other page that is the automatic system. And yes, timeout. So let me show you first the automatic system. So I created this base text, and the questions that you see on the back office, I'm going to make them to the system. So as you can see, he ran all the questions that I got in my back office and give us the answer and give us a score. So sometimes you can have for the same question more than one answer. But in the moment, I'm just showing the one that got the best score. So best score means that is the most approachable answer to our question. So let's try again our free text screen. Yeah. So that's it, guys. Just a simple demo with just two simple screens. And now, if you got any questions, just please ask them. Okay, I see you guys understand very well Azure. Well done.
João, let's start with a question here.
Yeah.
So, by what I saw, you're typing, you wrote a text, and you have some API that is reading the text and is trying to interpret or get the questions related to the topic that you wrote there. They check text by text, so it's a self that's trying to guess what kind of questions can be made related to the text, or how dynamic it is when you want to do something bigger.
So, like I said, this is very dynamic because you create that document. You create a document that you want the system to analyze, and then you can make a question to that document or more of that one document. So they are pretty flexible. As you can see on the automatic system, I got several questions on the back office, and the system perform each one individually to the base text that I was showing on the left side. So you can add all the documents you want and all the questions you want. I think the only limitation to the free Azure accounts is you can only make 3 questions at the same time as because they got a system, a part of the Azure that you can make multiple questions, but they are limited to 3 questions at the same time to the same document. That is the only limitation. But if you do individual calls, you can make the ones that are reach on the limits. And I think right now you got 1,000 questions on the free Azure subscription. So it's pretty good.
And Zhao, how does it scale? I mean, if I had like a book or 5 books, and I wanted to ask the question, and it's hundreds of pages long, have you tested how
So once again, in Azure subscription that you pay, you can add like only a front end to take care of that language service and the question making. So, and once again, if you want to scale it, probably you the knowledge base, because you on there you can already save some predefined answers and questions that are usually made to a certain type of documents, and the process is going to be much more quickly and easy. And instead of asking that individually, to see, okay, my knowledge base, I got this question in this document already written. If yes, he's going to send you the answer right away and doesn't need to go to this service specific that I present here today.
Okay, so where do the documents actually live? Are you posting them to as part of the API?
For example, on my case, the documents don't survive because it's just answer and questions and that's it. We don't keep that information, but you have an option to save them in the Azure side. You can save the documents in Azure side. You can have like a library of documents if you want. And based on the ID of that document, you can ask, okay, I want to do this question to that document ID that I already know, and you can do that. This is more an approach that is more free to the user, that doesn't need to build a document base, doesn't need to build a knowledge base. So it's just easy to use. You send the document you want, you send the question you want, and he sends you the answer back with that score. Because on my case, I was only showing the answer with the most score. But for example, to a question, you can have multiple answers based on the same document.
So you had a real world application for this, right?
More a POC application, but yeah, hopefully is going to be part of a upcoming project.
Yeah. No, Rashida, I can see very valuable integration features for claim process in insurance industry. And that will add a huge value, because when the claims are instigated, the first thing lawyers and the insurance company looks into all the terms and conditions and endorsement and wordings, and these wordings is the critical aspect of the claims, and this kind of a mechanics will hold, I think, huge value into the insurance industry. Interesting. Thanks for sharing that.
I work with insurance as well, so
I
know.
I understand. I've been working for 15, 20 years. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
I did it in a very old way, but it's a similar sort of thing.
So,
Do we
if
have
you don't have any extra question, sorry, Richard.
I was just asking the same question. Are there any?
Okay. Thank you, João, for sharing with us. Let's move on and with Zacharias. Please, Zacharias, share your screen.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. So let's start. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So first of all, thank you for having me as a speaker. It's an honor to be here at the OutSystems London user group. So my name, as you already saw, is Paulo Zacarias. I'm an OutSystems tech lead at Oski, and for a living, I help clients create software at a fast pace. So what can I say? As a civil engineer. I was a radio broadcaster back then, and sometimes I did some teaching at the local clubs. And I've been working with OutSystems framework since 2016. At the time, I was unemployed, so I was kind of lost. I got lucky. I entered an IT academy, which is the OutSystems global training partner, by the way, as some of you know. So I've been assigned to a couple of projects, and then 2 years later, I joined Oski. So I'm living the dream. I have here some links that you can check when this presentation will be shared by Carlos, I guess. Okay, what brings us here today is the feedback messages library. So this is the agenda of the presentation. So why would we need the feedback messages library? The requirements, architecture schema, entity relationship diagram, the solution implementation demo, and then the Q&A session. So first of all, I'll try to explain why the feedback messages library is useful. Then we'll go over what would be the possible requirements of a feedback messages library built in with OutSystems. Check the architecture schema and the RD, jump to the demo, and then I hope that you have some questions, and I hope that I can answer them. All right, jumping into the why. So why do we need this? Why do we need to build a library that can serve all our applications in a specific fabric of OutSystems? So everyone knows that feedback messages are key to enhance the communication between all the parties that are involved in a certain process. So you must ask, how does your product communicate with its users, right? How many of us have clicked a certain button or link and then nothing happens, or a bit better, but not enough. We have like a dry message saying saved or deleted. So I guess all of these details will determine the value of the product, right? Even a simple feedback message can have an impact improving the quality of the product. So most of the best sites, as you know, have another thing that many times is underrated, which is the multilingual approach. As you saw, I'm Portuguese, so of course I know the Portuguese language, and I know a couple of more, but I don't know, like English or Spanish. But if something is only available in Japanese or Chinese, so I think I'm done. I will not understand a thing. So of course, English is kind of universal, but not everyone knows it. So if we have the translations for our native language at one click distance, perhaps we will use it. All right, so some of you might be wondering if the big deal is the translations. Are the translations? Why do we need to develop something if the platform already has the multilingual built-in functionality? Well, for that, there's always room for improvements, right? And I must ask you about one thing that everyone of us like, that all the big brands have. Every great product has too, and that almost all the clients ask about, which is the customization. So everyone loves to customize their own products, their own things, the clothes, everything. So the feedback messages is just one of these things that we want to customize, and we can do it at runtime. All right, moving on to the requirements. So imagine I have here three countries, as you see. We have the United Kingdom, we have Portugal and Spain, and I'm presenting here some major companies of these. So let's imagine that we are building the products and that will be shipped to these three countries, right? So we want our product to be used by many companies as we can convince. So we'll need multilingual translations. Every feedback message needs to be translated. We are talking about N companies, and all of them have their own communication standards, right? So we're going to tell them that they can customize their own messages. We need to have the ability to change the messages for each tenant. So let's imagine that one of the companies wants to change their feedback messages on a regular basis. So we need to have this ability to change these messages at the runtime. Change the message at the runtime. The multi-language feature is great for static content, the built-in functionality that OutSystems provides. But if you want to do something at runtime, you need to build something custom. So because the built-in feature, we will always need to change the contents, import the resources, and deploy the code again. So with this feature, I think we can mitigate this cost. All right. So what can be other requirements? Let's say, for instance, have a back office management that the administrator can easily configure the feedback messages, have an import and export feature to speed up the process of defining the messages, should be used across OutSystems environments, but also can be called from external applications. So we should have a way to minimize the impacts on the consumers. So we need to build these with the correct architecture schema, right? So let's jump to that. Here is this is just an example of how we can build this. So we can see that we don't want to create any strong dependency between the producer and the consumers. So the library should be accessed through the service actions, as you can see here. Feedback messages. This is the back office management. This is an application from the OutSystems fabric, and they are calling the library through service actions. This way we avoid the strong dependency. This one here is a different application, external. It's not from OutSystems, that is calling the library through the web service directly. So we'll need to expose this set of actions like the create, the update, delete through service actions, and this way we avoid the strong dependency. So how to get the message, which is the main core of the main feature that we need here. We just develop a service action, let's call it the get message by code, and brings the translation. And we just expose that to be used across all the environments. So for the external consumers, as I said, the web service will be exposed. So having this schema, if we don't change the input or output parameters, we can do changes on the logic of each service action, of course, and the web service without having to publish the consumers. This is especially important when we have OutSystems fabrics with regular deployments. We'll reduce the impacts between the applications, and this is a best practice. This will significantly reduce the time and the complexity of the deployments. Okay, next step will be the ERD. So this is the example of the ERD. We have here the feedback message, which is single tenant. This one we don't need to have it as multi-tenant because we are interested on the translations. So here we define the code, we define a description just for the user that will be configured, the message, know what is it about. We have the message type, if it's an error message, the information, if it's a success message. We can have a domain if we want to segregate these feedback messages, or categories. So for the domain, we have here line of business A, line of business B. We have utilities like the crude messages. We can use utilities for this one. And here the category, if it's a crude, if it's a business. Well, this is just an example. This can scale whatever the user wants. So this feedback message entity will work as the header of the message. We will have a unique code and a minifield description as set. Message type, Canada domain and category. Then we have the message translation. And here we will define the actual message that we will present to the user. Okay, apart from this, we shall not forget about the documentation. It's very important, this, because the developers and the business need to know how to interact with these management screens. Okay, so let's jump to the demo. Okay, so for that, I have created 3 tenants. Can everyone see the screen again? I guess, yes.
Yeah, we can.
So I created 3 tenants, the OutSystems, which is the PT, the Santander, which is the Spanish, and the Unilever, which is the United Kingdom one. So I will start with the Spanish one. I have here this user, which is the John ES. I have here just a test application, employees management tests. And I have here this user created, which is the Don Quixote. So I will enter the details, try to edit something. And when I save, now this is displaying empty. It's weird because it just displayed with the text before. Let me try again. Okay, so Don Quixote was successfully saved. This is custom. And how this is custom? Because if I open here the record created generic, I see here that I have 3 translations for that specific message. Okay, I have the Spanish one, the English one, and the Portuguese one. So if I go to the screen again and let me try to change the locale, I expect to receive this one, which is the PT, right? Okay, and I see the PT message. So this is like a mix between the locales and the tenants. Okay, so if I try to change one of these message, let's say that I don't need to know what will be the name of the user that was created. So I'll just need to change this one, and I will put here to yeah, save it. And for the English one, I don't want it either. So I'll put here, or maybe I want the name of the record that was created, but I just put here saved, something like that. So when I go back to that screen on this tenant, which is the Spanish one, I will use the English again. I'll change the locale. I will try to save it again. And when I save, I say Don Quixote save, which was what I defined here. What is this parameter one that you see here? So if I jump in the code, I have here the get message by code. So first we receive the code, then we find the translation, if there's a translation, and we can receive some parameters too. Okay, we replace the parameters and then we compile the message. So this is just a simple logic that we have here on this message. I think this can be shared with you afterwards, just for you to understand what is this parameter one that it's here. Another thing we can do, and let me jump into the English one. Where is it? This one. Okay, now I'm logged in with in the English tenant, okay, which is the John UK, and I have 2 different employees here on my English tenant. Okay, so I will select and edit the profile of David Beckham. I'll change the photo. Let me try to put his photo real quick. So Beckham, save, and what I have here on the English tenant is that when I create a generic record, how do I know that? I know that by adding these on the test application that I created before. Okay, so the feedback message will receive the employee name and the current date time. If I don't send anything, it's not a problem, because I will have some brackets as empty spaces telling me that there's something missing there. So I will know from the business perspective that something needs to be defined before. Okay, so let's go for was on the English one. Okay, let's try to save Beckham. And I see that David Beckham was successfully saved at the current time that we have now, because I passed the parameters correctly. Okay. So I think you have a pretty good idea how this can scale and how you can use all of these with different tenants, with different translations for every tenant and for the different locales. Another thing we can do, and basically let me check this here, what we have, the feedback messages for the UK. I have a message here, which is the Elcom employer. And I, by joke, I put here the feedback message to greet the boss. So whenever I enter this screen, I see here, welcome John UK. Okay. So basically I defined it here, welcome parameter 1. And on the parameter 1, I passed the user that was logged. For the Spanish one, I did not have that, right? So when I entered the screen, yeah, this is the Spanish one. When I entered the screen, I did not see that. Why? Because I don't have this message, the welcome employer, defined at the Spanish tenant. Okay. So this is scalable. The only thing that we need to know upfront is what will pass through these parameters. This is very important, and we can use it outside the OutSystems applications. So I'll have here the Postman just to try it. I know that the UK tenant is the 561. Okay, and I'll put here the name of the record. Let's say Orzug London. And what I expect to happen is that it will display here when I do the call. So also London was created, saved at, and this is what I was talking about, because it knows that there's a parameter missing here, because I have the parameter defined on the feedback message translation when I defined that message of the record created, remember? So if I replace this and I put like just was successfully saved, I save it and I go to the Postman again, do the same call, it is updated. I don't need that again anymore. So I think basically this is it. I hope that you understood what is the potential of this. We can even add export and import functionalities. Imagine that I am at the default tenant and then I define like a bunch of feedback messages and I want to sell the products for a different tenant, let's say, or a sub company of my company, and they want to import the message, so they don't need to define it one by one again. So we can put here an import message functionality, and it will work directly with that. I don't have this for the demo, but that's how it can be achieved. So I think this is it. Thank you for attending.
Thank you, Paulo. So if you guys have any questions, just add them to the Q&A section or to the general. If not, I got one question, Paulo. So when you propose this to a client and they know the trade-off of that they know that they will need to create migrations, and how they usually respond, or it's because they really want it, they accept that trade-off on the of having this feature.
Yeah, actually it was the other way around. So they had some requirements. So we did some similar to this feature that I presented here to you, but the feature that we have at the customer doesn't have the multi-tenancy. So they all use the same. So what we thought it was we can improve this. So we did it, and I'm telling you we because I did this with my team, which is the team of developers that we have currently at the customer. Everyone contributed. I'm the one here giving the face, but this is a work team, a teamwork. I mean, so yeah, what we did that was not on the initial requirements was to do some asynchronous import and export feature, because started to be a lot of data to be configured, a lot of feedback messages here, there, a lot of concepts that were created. And instead of using just one generic, they started creating one message for each specific concept, and that grew a lot. So what we did was, okay, this is becoming impossible to manage. So we really need to put a synchronous import and export feature, and that's what we did. That's one of the improvements that can be done here on this feature. So I see that Ivaldo has a question too. Is this a component you have on the Forge? Not yet, but we plan to put it on the Forge, Nivaldo. Yes.
Okay, if anyone doesn't got any more questions, so now it's the time to.
Yeah, just a second.
Sorry, Carlos.
I was
Yeah,
on
yeah.
mute. Paul, I have a question. It's not entirely related to the component, but when you have a project with a few teams working and you want to develop a library with this feedback message, how do you do to enforce that the others are using this one instead of everyone create its own? Because for me, it's a little bit difficult when I already create something similar, not like yours, but a lot simpler to centralize the message.
Mm-hmm.
But every time we make a guideline, but one time one other the developer forget or is in hard doing something, and instead of use something that was already built, they start to reinvent the wheel again. What is your experience with that? Could not be just related to this feedback message, but another library component that you create.
Okay, first of all, it's that what you said, have some guidelines, some good standards for the development team to follow. This is I think it's the most important thing to have. So I think that they really need to go with the standards, and if they don't go with that, I think the tech leads should manage that. So need to discuss that internally with the team and make them use the standards. I think there's not a simple way to make everyone use the same library or something like that. Specifically for these, what we did to mitigate that, because we knew that could happen, is that have an algorithm that checks the similarity between the messages. So this is not here on this feature that I presented. It's only on our customer. But what we did was that we did a similarity algorithm that checks what are the messages that are similar to the ones that you are trying to create, and if there's some feedback message that is similar, it will prompt you a pop-up saying, okay, do you have this feedback message here and this one here that are similar to the one that you're trying to add? Do you really need to add this one, or do you want to use one that exists? So we have that on the customer. We can measure the percentage, adjust the percentage of similarity. Let's say that we want just to prompt for the user the messages that are like 90% similar. So we can adjust that, but it's not on this component, only on our customer. But yeah, I think the guidelines and have someone that is responsible for the development team will be the way to go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting what you say, that you already create an algorithm to check the similarities, because for me at least for now, the experience is we have guidelines. Most of the company will have. You control the developers, but then when you are working with another person maybe is not keen to do it in the same way or not following the rules, And then when you are revising the code 2, 3, 4 times, you find something that was not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
But yes, true. We need ours to be controlling.
Yeah, that's the importance of putting like the teams that separate the teams by domains and something like that. This way we can like measure the changes and control the changes. I think that's one possible approach. Not sure if I made myself clear, but I was talking about like you and your team are responsible for a specific domain. So no one will publish on that modules for that specific domain. And this way will keep your house clean. If they do that outside of your house, well, that's their problem. But yeah, it's a bit messy, I can tell.
Thank you, Paulo. So now Richard is going to tell us
Thank
this
you.
story with OutSystems. So go for it, Richard.
Okay, I'll see if I can share this. Bear with me a second. You'll see.
Yes, we can see the.
Okay, well, just as a brief introduction, what we're going through a process which probably is going to be alien to quite a few people, which is refactoring and refreshing the platform after what 6-7 years. So we've been going quite a while with OutSystems. We started at the tail end of version 8, and we're sort of moving into trying to get everything in order for the next few years. So we're looking at like a bit of a 5-year plan. Personal Group is a company that provide employee benefits and rewards. We're AIM listed. We're based in Milton Keynes. We were quite an early adopter of OutSystems, and we host our core product on the OutSystems cloud. The product lands both on mobile phone as an app, native app to Android or iOS, and also on desktop. Part of the rationale behind what we're doing now is we're trying to keep up with OutSystems technology, which, as you all know, moves quite quickly, and we've been left behind. We're on classic web, so it's not. We need to move. So we've got a mature OutSystems installation. By mature, what I mean is that we've got lots of deadwood. We've got lots of things that need to be fixed. Bit creaky around the edges. It's seen a lot of action and it's performed very, very well. So OutSystems has saved our lives so many times as a development team because of the ability to do things quickly. Probably the flip side is because we've done things quickly, we've probably not done them as cleanly as we would have liked to have done them. And so this is us getting our house in order now. So rough timeline.
Richard,
Yeah.
sorry to jump in. Can you put the slide in presentation mode, please?
I thought it was. How are you seeing it?
I'm seeing the PowerPoint.
You can see the PowerPoint or not?
Yes.
Yeah, we can.
All the page, all the edit mode.
Right, you can see them all now. So I thought that it's not gone into presentation mode. I'm sorry about that.
Richard, I think you just need to click on the right bottom, on the bottom right corner, the first icon on the PowerPoint, the one next to the. You see the 70%. The
Right.
other on the left. The other on the left. The first icon on the left of the 70%. I think it will fix it. No, the other one on the left. On the left. Yeah, this one.
Okay. Bizarre, because that's what I was actually seeing.
But it's not. Yeah, it's not working either, right?
Is that working for you now? Can you see the second slide, introduction?
But we still see the slides. It's not on presentation mode, Richard. You
No.
got other screen or something that...
Are you seeing it now? I mean, I'm trying various things here.
Are you sharing the proper screen? Maybe you are sharing opposite.
Maybe that's it. It's not sharing the right one. So just bear with me. I'll flick through the screens. Couldn't believe I worked in IT, would you? Is that better?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you.
Okay. So I won't go back through. I'm guessing you got the gist. Anyway, rough timeline. But we started our journey with OutSystems in about 2015. We did load a version of OS 8, but we actually started coding in anger on a custom version of 9, which was written for us. It was a hybrid because the security at the time wasn't good enough to support PCI, which was something we had to support. We successfully used OS version 9 for a few years, and then migrated to 10, which was quite a big bang, and OutSystems helped us do that work. There was a bit of refactoring happening there, because we had there was breaking code to work around to get from 9 to 10. Quickly afterwards, we migrated to 11, which we're still on. And now what we're doing is we're looking to migrate to reactive from classic web, and tidy up a lot of our architecture, because over the years we have got ourselves into some messes, which every installation I'm sure does, and get rid of circular references and the usual things that come to haunt you with technical debt. The plan is to make it easy to go to Neo should we want to. So this is partly why we're going to reactive. OutSystems pretty much is forcing all their users to go to reactive, which is a good thing, because I think it looks a lot better and it behaves itself. Internally, we're going to be launching a product at the end of this year, in Q3. And then we're going to be moving all our clients across to what we're calling Happy version 2 in 2023. And so there's there's 530,000 users to move over. So it's a little bit of a tall ask. So what's the goal? I mean, the goals we have are to delight the existing and a new generation of customers. We hope to always invite new customers to our site. We're moving to reactive web classic. So we're refreshing the customer experience. We're getting UI designers in, doing a lot more UX work. And we're refactoring the monoliths. We have a few lurking. So we're trying to break things up into more logical areas based on the best practices, the architectural best practices. And we're also focusing the development on what matters. And we're trying to lose technical debt. And this is partly due to the way the business works. We do have things that come on, are developed, and then die a natural death. And these need to be removed. And so there's an exercise in tracking these sort of like ephemeral projects that come and go. So how are we approaching this? Well, we're currently in a session of redefining what we do. We're going through the platforms, looking to see what's important to the users, building new user stories, and then attaching the code that's already there to those user stories, and then working to refactor it. We're questioning everything, including sacred cows, because there are some things that the business say we need, but may not. Just looking at different ways of doing things. So, I mean, this is similar to the problems that Paolo was suggesting with developers doing things in multiple ways. Within the business, we do also do things in multiple ways, and so we're trying to coalesce those into single threads. We're trying to get the business to sign everything off at the earliest possible, and again, that's a tall ask, because trying to get people to agree to what you're doing without sight of what you've done sometimes is quite interesting. One thing that we have had quite a lot of success with is working with Jira and Confluence to document everything, and this has been quite useful in trying to explain things to people and to also collate the work, so that making sure that Jira has the most up-to-date status on all the jobs, and so we can dashboard them and show people what's actually happening. And also ensuring that the right people and skills are in place. So again, this is one of those soft skills, working out who's good at what, putting people that we have subject matter experts in various areas, and making sure that they have buy-in to the changes that we're making. And that's within the development team as well. So currently my nightmare is working on a heat map of where all the work is. And so we're sizing it, working out the complexity, working out the risk. For us, there's big risks in some of the things that we're doing, because it'll affect lots of people, or it's the security risk that it exposes. When we're taking money from people through a payo, we need to make sure that that's done correctly, and that we're not losing things and making mistakes in the transactions. So what are our next steps? Well, we're currently in the phase of building the project. We're now breaking down the effort needed. So we're looking at who can do what and how quickly they can do it. Again, it's keeping people away from one another within the code base, so that everyone works as efficiently as possible. We're assigning resources to work streams. Each work stream is a distinct batch of work that, again, avoids clashes. And we're getting sign-off from the users. So we're doing prototyping and UX to show what things are going to look like in the new version. And then knuckling down and getting to do the development, which is the scariest part, because I know that there's a big elephant we've got to eat. So in summary, we're further along the OutSystems journey, I guess, than most. We have gone down many avenues. And like all businesses, we come against dead ends. And so, it's the dead ends that I think are interesting, in that we're being forced to confront them and forced to work around, get rid of them, and work around the holes that they're leaving sometimes. And the fundamental thing is getting the architecture right. And OutSystems has been excellent for us, giving us support in this. We use the customer success plan, and they're basically going to be helping us, telling us if our baby is ugly, going through all the architecture and giving us a good critique. OutSystems have already been working with us to look at what we have, and have given us plenty of thoughts on how we can improve. So I hope that's given you a little bit of insight into maybe a bit more of a mature project and looking at it not strictly from coding, but more from the practicalities outside the coding. So that's it. Does anyone have any questions?
How big is your team, Richard?
How big's the team? We are stretching the team at the moment. We are around 12, but we should see about 15, maybe 16 people. We have a couple of contractors. Most of the team are full-time.
Okay, thank you.
And we have a mix of skills as well. We've got developers, front-end, UX, project managers.
Richard, how are you sizing the effort through the business to the line of business that you have on the product? Do you have any domains already defined? Is someone responsible for a specific domain? I'm asking that because the project that we are working now too has something similar to that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm being experimental with the sizing. As you saw, I've got we work out a rough size. Someone referred to it as T-shirt size. So how big would the T-shirt fit each domain? We then work out the complexity and risk, and that's telling us roughly how many people we allocate, and giving us an idea as to how much effort is going to go into each section. Because if you have something that's high risk, you might want to take a little bit longer to do it. So that's the way we're approaching it.
Is there something live already that you need to integrate with start integrating, like legacy and so on?
The system, well, we've got version 1, which is live and active. And what we're doing is creating version 2 sort of in parallel to it. So we're taking the code and migrating across section by section and creating the domains as we go. That's the plan. So hopefully we're going to have a zero effect on the current user base. We're going to be able to create something that's like for like, and then migrate users across. So we'll be able to do like an A/B comparison with all the functionality.
So perhaps you'll be able to achieve the zero downtime.
Yeah. Zero downtime is a definite tip. I don't think we've actually got a plan for downtime.
Yes, great, thank you.
So,
another question from me, Richard. You know, there's a kind of eventually there's a dead end. This is my understanding. Please correct me if I'm wrong. In terms of there won't be any version 12, right? So you have seen the journey of 8 and 9 and 10 and 11, and eventually there won't be any 12. Does it concern you that it will be a total new platform, which is Neo, which is OutSystems is going to bring into the business? And a company like you have seen a long journey, and there's no in front of you. There's a big wall, no way to go, and how does it worry you at all, this journey?
I mean, out of OutSystems, I've not heard that it's a big wall. I've heard that the development, I thought, for the current version is continuing, and they'll continue support. However, I think it has been hinted that a migration might be happening. The last I heard, there would be migration tools that would take you from 11 to Neo. But that migration needs you to be on reactive. It needs you to be doing all the best practices to help you get there. Otherwise, you have to do some work to make that migration. So I think there is a plan. I don't think it's like going to hit us for a few years. So yes, we are thinking of Neo, but there's so little detail about what Neo is. at the moment, and how it would affect us, that it's difficult to plan for.
Cool. Thank you.
So, Richard, we have a question on the Q&A. That is, with the benefit of insight, will you have done anything differently early on that, or will you have mitigated the refactoring?
Yeah, we would have done things very, very differently, I guess. The thing is, we have a very sales-oriented company, and we've had to do some very dirty developments every now and then. So, you know, I think we're suffering from the dirty stuff that we've done. We had quite a good architecture for when we started, but as the business changed, the system changed, you know, its direction as we've been going. So I think we're about okay. You know, sort of like it's very hard to predict where you'll be in 5 years' time when you've got a commercial website. You know, that we're doing things that we didn't dream we'd be doing. You know, like online GPs. You know, that was something that was science fiction when we started. So it's those sort of things that you can't predict. That maybe you know, maybe we didn't have the hindsight. The other thing is that best practices that OutSystems suggest have changed over those years. So, you know, our architecture when we began was you know, to a slightly different model to what's required now.
I got the question, Richard. What was the biggest challenge or clash that you passing to the traditional to the reactive one? What was the
clash? I mean, we have done some tentative reactive work, but we haven't discovered a clash yet. I guess the biggest thing is it works differently. So, you know, the architecture is and the way you code against it is completely different, and it's getting your head around that. Luckily, a lot of the team have done mobile work, so they're used to the different way of approaching it. So I'm hoping we'll transition. I guess it's the dinosaurs like me that need to get their head around the new way of doing things. So I'm partway through the reactive training now. So, you know, it is getting your head around stuff.
Okay, thank you, Richard.
I don't know.
Well, I think
I saw
we
Doug
don't
was
have
on here. Doug, one of my colleagues, is on here. I don't know if he's got any comments.
Who is your friend,
No
Richard?
comments.
How's his name?
Douglas.
Yeah, it's just it's a big project. It's quite daunting. I'm just waiting to get started, really. I'm not so good at the planning side of things. Richard takes the lead on that. I try and help out a bit. But yeah, I'm a coder at heart. I just want to get going. I'm excited. Bring it on.
So, guys, now it's time to our quiz, and don't forget that the winner will receive a swag kit. So just let me share my screen and give you the code to access to our little game. You can go to the website or the QR code and add the game pin that is presenting on the screen. Yeah, Carlos can go this time because it was I that make the questions and he didn't have access, so I will allow it this time.
I think I already found all the answers, and I'm pointing out here by my side.
Just waiting more a couple of minutes and then I will get started again. Okay, last chance. At 28, I will start the game. Okay, let's start it. So this is the first quiz, so next time I will define the question length lower than 1 minute. I think you guys don't need so much. Okay, so at this moment, Doug is on the lead. I think I make this one quite easy for everyone.
Next time, let's try with the questions from the expert exam.
Yeah. Okay, now Sony is on the lead.
Now I want to see if everyone chose the same.
No. Okay, Sophie is on fire, so Doug, be careful. VA is coming from you, Doug. And Sophia is on the lead.
Oh, I'm the top 4. Was I'm also using excuse that my internet is bad, so
Walter. Now, question to see if you have attention to the talks. So, last question, and Sharon is on the lead. So, let's see. Good luck for everyone. So, let's check our podium. So, in third place, Walter. Sophia in second place. And the winner of the swag kit is Jerome. So please, Jerome, send us a DM to one of the organizers and we will send you the swag kit. Thank you guys for participating on the quiz.
thank you guys. By the answer, looks like all the community here has an average of the same knowledge. A part of the fish on Richard's aquarium. I think it's the only one I got right because I searched the answer.
So thank you guys once again for your participating on this event, and don't worry, we are trying to keep up the London events through the year. So don't worry, we are getting news soon, and we hope in some time having our person-to-person event again after COVID and everything. So let's see, guys.
Thank you everyone for having me. See you again. Bye bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Paul.
Zacharias.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Guys, have a nice evening and see you soon.
Thank you. You too.
See you guys. Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.